Good evening. This is Fawad Haider from Bangladesh.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
I can't hear any message
We are
at all.
now. Sorry for that. I see now we are now 5 minutes in, and we are good to go to start. So allow me now open the session. My name is Patrick Mwangi, a construction manager by profession and the head of communications and marketing at the Association of Construction Managers of Kenya. This is a professional body that champions for the professions of construction management and construction project management in Kenya. And we organize this session today that is a very important discussion about digital construction in Africa. The talk is around so much. What is AI in construction? How is it applied? What is BIM? How is it applied? What are the case studies? What are the regulatory environment across the continent? And we have various panelists that will also come in to introduce themselves. We picked 4 areas. First one is the Northern Africa, which we chose Egypt as a benchmark. West Africa, Nigeria is there as a benchmark. Kenya is there as a benchmark for East and Central Africa. South Africa is there for the southern part of the region. So the discussion will kick off right about in 2 minutes time. I see the first presentation is about to kick off. And so allow me, so kindly, if you are not if you're noted so as your video, so that the audience is not confused. And also when you get to the Q&A, ensure that you're in an area that has no background noise to avoid distractions. Use the chat tab for questions and general feedback. And the host will be able to follow up on there so that they are aligned in an organized manner. Engage respectfully in the chat and throughout the entire conversation, and ensure that they are focused around constructive contributions relevant to the AEC sector. The webinar is also recorded from our end, which will also be live, which will actually be uploaded on our YouTube. And actually, as a matter of fact, currently we're already live on YouTube. So on that note, I'll request Mr. Nathan kindly to switch off the video so that the first panelist can go through Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Muhammad, you're in?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Perfect. Oh, perfect. Mr. Joseph Dar, I've seen you in. Mr. Jaco Bernard, are you in?
I'm here, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Samuel Gatukia, are you in? Samuel? Okay, I'm sure we'll get along as we proceed. Mr. Muhammad, the floor is yours. You're taking us through BIM. Thank you. Mr. Muhammad, you are muted.
Muhammad, unmute.
Okay, just a second. I will adjust the camera. Okay.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Shwans Muhammad,
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now?
clear.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Mohamed Aguz, Executive Director of BIM Africa. I'm a civil engineer with quite well experience in digital engineering for more than 15 years in Middle East and Africa. I'm a civil engineer based in Egypt, working on diverse type of projects from infrastructure to building and airports landscape, city and regional projects.
Sorry, your voice is speaking.
Is it clear right now? Is it clear now?
Clear.
Hello?
Yeah.
Can you confirm if you can hear me right now?
Now we can hear you,
Clear
yes,
now.
Mohammed.
Okay. Okay. Should I repeat or? Okay. I will go on. I stop at my engineering background. Okay. As I mentioned before, I'm a civil engineer that work in the digital engineering industry for more than 15 years right now. in diverse type of projects, from infrastructure to building, city and regional type of projects in Middle East and Africa, working in especially in building information modeling for more than 12 years right now. And that is move forward to our talk today about for my specialization as BIM. As we know, I am executive director of BIM Africa. BIM Africa is a non-civil society organization that aims to develop and adopt BIM in the AEC industry in Africa. We hope to provide and train more than 500 engineers and surveyors in Africa. We have a lot of collaboration with universities here in Africa and in Europe, from all over the world, to provide some of the training to people that aim to contribute in the digital technology. And that is. Patrick? Hello?
Yeah, you're muted for a second.
Okay. I just will try to solve the problem with the camera. Just a second. Okay. I think we solved the problem right now.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Should I move to the second part, or?
Yeah, you can begin your presentation.
Okay.
And in the same, you can take us through what is BIM for the starters here. I'm sure they're there. How did it come by? What are some of the areas that is applied in the industry, especially in the region that you are? What are some of the case studies that you can share that have proven that BIM improves the project delivery, sustainability, and does it at an affordable cost? And what are the primary barriers for the widespread of the technology when you come to look at the regulations around? Yeah.
Okay. To first, in a brief, to people that is new to the field, BIM is a process. BIM is it stands for BIM information modeling. The BIM is a process of creating, and managing information during the life cycle of the project, the whole life cycle of the project, from when it is an idea to its design and construction, and until the delivery of the asset, the management or facility management of the asset. To BIM, it is about a coordinated digital description and information for every aspect of the built asset itself. It doesn't matter if this project is a building project, infrastructure, or whatever type of projects. It can be applied to any type of project. And it is developed during the life cycle of the project itself. The information is developed. The information may be graphical and non-graphical information, and it has to be according to a certain standard. Right now, most of people are working according to ISO 19650 series, and to secure the information, people are using this this standard to manage and secure information there, according to the whole life cycle of the project. Basically, BIM begins by the development of projects. As you know that in about 70 years ago, people are used to papers and drawing, especially for architecture and engineers, drawings manually. And it took a lot of time and a lot of effort to make sure that everything is coordinated. And then BIM, developed by the development of software itself, begins in 1962 in America, and then it moves forward in Europe, and basically until maybe mid 80s. Some softwares are developed to provide a barometric engine that is a core of BIM software. And then here in Africa, I think by the mid of the 20s, people start to talk about and use some software, especially architects from different companies, try to use something that is makes their work or ideas become real. Just a second. Okay. And then it developed according to years, and then people are forming standards. Most of people are working on the UK standards until the development of the ISO 19650, and countries are trying to adopt certain standards to work on. And we have, right now, some standards, some open standards that people can use, some open softwares to provide information publicly for to secure the information for in an open database. And then we are in the process of developing and adopting BIM as an open BIM, that is a phrase that people are using right now.
So now, where has the tech been helpful in? We can start with your country area and the region at large. Your mic is muted, Mr. Muhammad.
Okay. Is it clear right now?
Yes.
Okay. So in Africa, we try to to adopt them on a larger scale, not just on a project, but to be adopted on a country scale. So we try to have engagement as a BIM Africa with some organization and some authorities to move forward to the digital transformation, especially in construction. Okay. So here in Africa, we have some countries that go forward to adopt, to make their standard according to ISO or something like this. We found that maybe in South Africa, that is a group of people that are trying to adopt them on a larger scale and to be adopted by the country itself. Same in Morocco and some in Egypt. We have in Central Africa, in Nigeria, in Kenya. I think BIM is widely used in Africa, but we are trying to right now to standardize it according to a certain standard to facilitate the whole life cycle of the project from design or construction. For here in Egypt, you know that Egypt, maybe in Kenya, in Nigeria, there is a lot of construction right now, and most of the new construction are according to a certain BIM standard to build efficiently and make make use of the information that to provide from them. You know that BIM is not just like building a 3D model for a representation of the asset itself, but it's all about data and information. And if we have a structured and coordinated description and information of the asset itself, it will help us to have an efficient decision on facility management of the project itself. And you know, it is all related. Right now, people are trying to do green buildings and decarbonize the footprint of the carbon in construction and the whole for the whole life cycle of the asset. So and also digital twin of the project. So none of them will be managed well or did well only if we have a structured information. And building information modeling, BIM is a whole about information. So it is the core of the many facility management or whatever whatever the stage of the project. It is about structured information, and BIM will provide it.
And how is the uptake? How is it enabled or championed from the regulatory side over there? Are there any legislations about use of the technology? Are there the limits? Are there benchmark the government has used, just like they have laws for different professionals? Is there something? Is there a framework of the sort?
Okay, so I think it is the whole country, the whole continent. Africa is maybe not all countries, but most of the countries are suffering from a foreign currency because to buy softwares and so on. But it is if it is changed. There are so many companies right now that provide information, that provide softwares with efficient price, but it's not on a wide scale. So the whole problem for adopting BIM in some countries is the software price. But right now we found that there is open softwares that are open that some people can use, but it has to be trained. It is not used on a larger scale. Some only a few people in each country that can use, and some countries you will not find. Some African countries you will not find whole people that know about the open softwares. And the open softwares is not developed. It is right now. I think the past 2 years it has developed, but not quite as paid softwares. So the first problem is a foreign currency, and it has to do. The government has to intervene in this to provide something like maybe support the construction or the engineering companies to use this digital transformation, maybe. And the second part is the training. That is we are focused on training of people on these softwares and on projects. You know that some of the projects, we have some projects here in Egypt, the new administrative capital, and then most of the new projects that are done now, it is most of the contractors, even if the the client make sure that people are using BIM or not. Some of the contractors and design firms are using BIM in order to facilitate their work. The design firms, maybe they are using BIM to, that the whole life cycle of the project, it is a certain on the tender stage, I think. A lot of questions from contractors, a lot of mistakes and coordination that will consume so many hours from the design firms. That's why design firms are using BIM to ensure that they are delivering a fully coordinated design. And for construction, most of the projects right now are fast track. So the construction will stop if there is a problem in the project, miscoordination or miss something, or didn't identify certain item, or planning. It is a sort of miss planning or something like this. So BIM, the whole idea, can provide a good decision and make facilitate the work from planning or from define the cost at certain time. So I think BIM is useful in this stage. Just a second.
Okay. I think also because of time, we'll come back to you on that matter. Let's hear from Mr. Jacko on the other technology that we have around. Yes, Mr. Jacko, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Patrick. Can everybody hear me?
Perfectly clear.
I'm going to share my screen. I've got a couple of slides that I'm just going to take us through this afternoon. So let me just bear with me and share. And just let me know whether you can see my screen. Can you see my screen being presented, Patrick?
Yes. It's very well presented.
Okay, so you can see my face on the screen there.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. It's Jaco Barnard. I'm the managing director from a company called Agile Business Technology. We are based in Stellenbosch in South Africa. And what Agile Business Technology does as a company, we're a software distributor, specifically focused on the AEC industry. And as you can see from the logos we have up there, these are some of the software vendors that we do the distribution of their software for. We also see at the bottom, we very much align to the principles of Open BIM. I won't go into detail about that today. We're also part of a BIM Community Africa, that has very good ties with BIM Africa. And it's sort of a community sort of trying to rise the BIM tide, as that logo at the bottom says. And every year there's also a BIM Harambee event that people sort of then can either attend in person or then also tune into remotely. So I would sort of encourage everybody on the call, please go and sort of look for bimcommunity.africa, sign up, become part of that community. It's free, and just sort of sharing the learning around BIM and everything. So today, what I'm going to talk to you about would be about, sorry, I want to get to the next slide. Okay. So we're going to talk about reality capture and basically just try and explain what the concept is and talk through a couple of examples that we have in play in Africa. So when we talk about reality capture, I think broadly we can say it's all about collecting and then sharing reference information about assets, either sort of already built or being built, or that is really reality capture. So we digitize the world using technology and software. I know Samuel will talk a little bit about digital twins later, but if we say the reality twins become sort of geometric reference information that is then useful for teams working together to be able to be on the same visual page during projects, or alternatively post handover when we move into the operate stage of these buildings. So if we then look at what is being used in the industry today, yes, I guess there are tape measures that people can use to do surveying, but the world has evolved, okay? So what we can see here is a wide range of, what I'm showing to you here is a blend between hardware and software. What we can see, there's drones being used, there's scanning technology, and there are 360 cameras. There are also, in some cases, just sort of applications that runs on mobile phones that would assist us with reality capture. Okay. So if we then sort of start with, I guess, what is the most commonly used, okay, is drone photogrammetry, okay? So drone photogrammetry is then a process of us taking photos or set of structured photos by flying a drone and using the drone's camera to then fly in a certain path, capture the site and the external information about a specific structure, whether that's sort of a building, whether that's a civil works, a bridge that's being built. And what happens with the information is we can take that information and that can be turned into a point cloud, which could then be turned into a 3D model, which then sort of moves into the world of BIM, as the previous speaker has spoken about. So if we then move on from drone photogrammetry, another category of reality capture would be 3D scanning. And then 3D scanning is really the process of using a laser scanner, or what we sometimes call a LiDAR scanner. And these could either be handheld devices, as we see there on the right. It is a sort of scanning device that we can walk around in a building, and basically what we call those devices is sometimes it's a SLAM device. What SLAM stands for is simultaneous location and mapping, or alternatively, we can have a scanner fixed onto a tripod in a building that is then being used to scan the environment. Once again, we have a point cloud, as we can see there, and these point clouds can be turned into 3D models. So this can be used during construction, where we need to sort of verify that the construction is actually accurate as per the 3D design. Or alternatively, another use case of 3D scanning is where we need to sort of get hold of plans and drawings of buildings that has been built many years ago. What we would then do is go into those buildings, we would scan the building. From there, we would sort of create point clouds, which we then turn into 3D models. And that way we can have these retrofitted plans or designs of the building that might have been built 100 years ago, which then becomes useful for us if we need to do alterations to the building, or alternatively use this information during the operate stage of a building. Okay. If we then look at another category, what we see here is 360 photos and videos. You might sort of have come across a product called OpenSpace. It is one of the products that we distribute and represent in Africa. And that is really a process of mounting a 360 camera. So that's not a scanner. 360 camera is really just a camera that's got two fisheye lenses on each side, and would be able to give us either 360 photos or 360 videos, which then gives us the ability to monitor progress remotely and also use this photogrammetry to compare that to 3D designs. How this works is really just we will put the camera on top of a hard hat. We will switch the camera on, we'll make a connection, we'll walk around the job site, upload into the AI engine in the cloud, which then organizes the information, makes it available for everybody remotely to view. Okay, so once again, just sort of where that applies to every phase of construction, right from pre-construction, during the construction progress or process. Normally we can track progress, we can adjust our schedules. We don't all need to be on the site, we can sit remotely and see what is happening, and then also project handover and capital programs. So if we just sort of, in summary, what are these benefits of reality capture? It's a rapid way to get data acquisition. As I said, sorry, I just want to go back to the previous slide. So we can do rapid data acquisition. Not everybody needs to be on site. We can share that information with other people. It provides very accurate geometrically accurate information. We can have virtual site visits by project teams. So especially in Africa, it's very relevant as some of these projects are quite remote. Project owners might be sitting overseas. It brings them to those sites virtually. We can then create detailed layouts and models from that. It's an accurate basis for comparing to BIM. And so, I mean, it's really sort of easy to use technology, and we're seeing a lot of adoption of this technology currently all throughout Africa. And that's it from my end. I'll stop sharing. And that was my bit.
That very detailed presentation. Now I wanted to know on the regulatory part of it. It seems over there you are really advanced in the uptake. Is there government support? Is government implementing the same in their projects, in the public projects?
At this stage, I would say most of the implementations, if you say it looks as if we're very advanced, to be quite honest, most of our open space customers are in your region, in East Africa, not in South Africa. But we're slowly starting to see adoption from government to start deploying this on projects, specifically around sort of the monitoring of then the flow of money. So it's a very effective tool for the financiers of projects to make sure that they verify and incorporate this reality capture into the payment certificate processes. And what we're seeing is the biggest customer of one of these technologies, OpenSpace, is actually a bank in South Africa called Nedbank, and Nedbank basically used that to verify progress when somebody puts in a progress claim, and the government locally is one of the biggest spenders on infrastructure, and also then starting to realize the value of it. So there's no sort of sponsorship, but with government being the biggest asset owner, they're starting to come around, see the value. So we'll see more public sector action locally as well, and in other parts of the world.
And Mr. Muhammad mentioned challenges in adoption is usually the accessibility to training and the initial cost of setup. Is it the same case for reality capture equipment?
So not really, and it all depends on which category of reality capture we talk about. So yes, some of the high-end LiDAR scanners, and they are expensive, but whereas equipment that is used in let's say 360 reality capture is not that expensive. So equipment being used in open space like this. This is an example of a 360 camera, and this would be the equivalent of, let's say, $500 US. So the hardware component is not that expensive, and it's really sort of not a deterrent, as maybe with some of the BIM software that we have spoken about. It's really awareness. You know, people are not aware that it is possible, and as much as we are rising the tide around awareness around BIM, part of what Agile does is educate also around what is possible if digital construction technology is then adopted. And reality capture is just one of those categories within the wider digital construction technology basket.
Okay. I think now I can give the floor to Mr. Dare, Joseph Dare, who is to present to us about AI from Nigeria and Western region.
All right. Good afternoon from here. My name is Joseph Dare. I'm an architect in Nigeria. I'm the founder of Isaka Design, is an architectural consultancy and build firm in Nigeria here. So what we do over there is that we do architectural designs, interiors, and how do we do that? We leverage artificial intelligence. When a client comes to us with an idea of what he wants to do, we sit with the client, we generate ideas to the client based on their vision, what they want to achieve in the design process. So I would like to share my screen. I'd like to share my screen. It's us here. So sharing my screen with us here. Okay, so what is AI in itself? What is AI? In itself, AI is just the use of algorithm machine learning to assist or automate the design or construction process. What do I mean by that? It means using computer systems to make processes that take much time to be achieved in less time. So what is generative AI? Generative AI refers to systems that generate designs, options like layout, entire plans based on a set of input parameters like materials, budget, and sustainable goals. So what it does is that it generates ideas for you. If you have an idea on a project, we have softwares that can do that and platforms. So what is the origin of AI? AI traces back to early computer-aided design CAD system in the 1960s, which have now evolved into BIM, as Mohammed spoke about, the last speaker. We have generative AI tools that is well known all around the world. We have the Dreamcatcher, we have Midjourney, we have DALL-E 3, we have LookX. Those are generative AI softwares. We have LookX, we have Veras, which now is integrated with Revit, with Navisworks, and also with ArchiCAD, Graphisoft ArchiCAD. So what are the applications of AI in digital construction? We can apply AI in architectural designs. Now we have some AI tools like Market AI that we can use to develop plans. If you have an idea, for example, let's say you want to design a small, tiny house, what you just need to tell the software is, okay, I need to design a small, tiny house for so and so persons. These are the spaces that I want in that building. What the software does is that it generates the plan for you, which we just have to adjust to suit what you really want. Another thing AI does is construction management. AI project management, automate schedules. You can now use AI to generate schedules, like schedules, resource allocations. You can also use it to flag repairs where repairs are needed. Now we have what we call artificial intelligence sensor systems. There are some homes in Nigeria here that you don't have to have switches. Mere stepping into the house, things work on their own because we have what we call sensor systems. Another thing is that it saves time. What do I mean it saves time? That's sustainability. There are some things that takes time to do. Like for example, when you have a software like Lumion for rendering, you have to start adjusting the settings as an architect. But now we have some AI platforms whereby you don't need to adjust settings. You just have to write a prompt, a description of what you want the building to look like, in which you instruct based on your model that you've modeled with your building information software like Graphisoft, Archicad, like Revit, like Naviswork. What you just need to do is to explain to the AI platform, okay, this is how I want this based on this model. And what they do is that it generates different variation of the way the building should look like, which saves more time and hours involved in rendering. Sometimes some rendering can take as long as 12 hours as an architect. But now with the advent of AI, within minutes, you tend to generate 3Ds, animations of those projects in less time. So what it does is that it saves time and also it is sustainable. So there's a case study of a building in Nigeria that is called Eko Atlantic City in Lagos, Nigeria. The challenge they had at first was that they wanted to develop a smart city that integrates sustainable practices, advanced infrastructure, accommodate rapid population growth. So what they did is that they used generative AI platforms to optimize the urban design, including the road layout by using Forma. And they also, for environmental impact, they used AI-powered simulation models to predict the environmental impact and optimize water resource management. So AI fosters project delivery throughout the timeline because they had to use AI systems to align and do a schedule for the project. So they ensure that they follow the schedule for that project. So these are the barriers to AI adoption in Nigeria and West Africa. Lack of awareness is the first barrier. There is lack of awareness. A lot of people are unaware of artificial intelligence, AI, and its potential benefits, particularly the smaller firms in Africa. A lot of people feel that AI is here to take their jobs, which is not so. What AI is here to do is that it's here to make your job easier. The things you spend hours and days doing, you can do it in less time. So another barriers to AI adoption is in high initial investments. A lot of these platforms online for AI, you have to pay. You have to pay to be able to use them, and in relation to, for example, Midjourney now, I think should be about $20 now. It have not been increased for a month. Imagine you getting a group of firms up to, like, let's say 20 people are in the firms. So it takes a lot. There's an initial high investment upfront, which may deter some companies. Another thing is there is still lack of standardized AI regulation, especially in Nigeria and West Africa, which creates uncertainty. There are no standardized regulations. The regulations are few. A lot of there's no strict government regulation. These are what you should use. Another limited digital infrastructure another barrier is limited digital infrastructure. There is access to high-speed internet or data centers. There is no access to high-speed internet. Not everybody has access to that. And also there's no access to cloud-based solution, and it's still limited in some parts. How do we overcome these barriers? We can overcome these barriers through education and training. That is, we have to offer workshops, we have to offer trainings to industry professionals to understand AI value in the AEC sectors. So when we look at the major key players in the architecture, engineering, and construction sector, we need to offer trainings to them so that they can then go back to the subordinates, to the members of their firm, to their staff, and then introduce the benefits of using AI to them. There also need to be public-private partnership. What do I mean by that? Collaboration between tech companies, government bodies, and construction firms to subsidize costs and promote AI implementation. That is, as government, we can reach out to these firms, or as private individuals or private organizations, we can reach out to these firms that are in charge of these softwares, and then suggest that, okay, I want to make your software known. How can you subsidize for me? I have 50 people. I have 30 people that want to key into these softwares, into these AI softwares. Are you with me, everyone? That want to key into these AI softwares? We look at them, and then I was about to do that recently with Musavia AI. It's an AI platform for generating images, which I did. They gave me what they planned on giving me, which we have not finalized with. They are going to reduce the amount that people have to pay and give me access, so we can easily teach people how to use these softwares. Another thing is that we have to encourage universities and federal government universities here and private institutions to foster AI expertise in architecture. That is, right from school, students need to be introduced to how to use AI. They need to know how to use it. It's not until you get to the employed labor sector, or when you start practicing as a professional. No, it should not be like that. Right from school, right from institutions, you should be aware of the use cases of AI and be able to maneuver your way with it. So another way to overcome the barrier to AI adoption is we need to provide government initiative. Government need to invest in internet connectivity, because most of these platforms are online. It has to be done online. It deals with the internet. So government need to increase the level of internet connectivity, and also our cloud computing resources. That means there needs to be a large cloud computing resources, and also implementation of smart city technologies. What is the future of AI in Nigeria and West Africa? The future is that there is this smart city revolution. A lot of buildings in Nigeria, when I say a lot, I mean a lot. are now using smart technologies in the buildings, especially in the area of electrical systems, security doors. Majority of houses, let's say 60% of luxury houses that are being built by developers in Nigeria and private owners now use smart technology, smart city technology. So we need to start addressing housing crisis. We have systems. We can start, AI will play a crucial system in addressing the housing crisis, optimizing sustainable goals for new developments. What do I mean by that? For example, there are a lot of ideas behind housing crisis in architecture. We don't have to know all by hand. When you have a project at hand, you can go to your AI platforms, whether it's ChatGPT, whether it's Bing AI, all of them. There are various AI platforms online. You just have to go to them, tell them to assume the role of a construction manager, an architect, an engineer, a building service engineer, and state the problem you have at hand to it, and tell it to give you suggestions, ideas that are workable in relation to that project that you're ongoing. It will give you ideas, and that ideas will be as like a starting ground for implementation of your project. Another thing, future of it is also ongoing infrastructure upgrade in Nigeria, AI integration into the AEC sectors, reducing barrier and boosting innovation. So AI is not just the future of construction, it is happening now. A lot of firms, even the last NIA conference in Nigeria, one of the major things that were discussed was AI. That is Nigerian Institute of Architects, NIA. And also, we have to look at potential. Another is the potential. Nigeria and the West Africa have immense potential to lead in AI adoption with the right investment and partnership from the software company. So another thing we'd like to advise everyone that we need to get started. We need to learn about AI tools because it will make our life easier. We need to also connect with industry professionals that are versatile in the use of AI and begin to explore how AI can transform our projects. Thank you, Patrick. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you, Architect Dare, for that good presentation. I like the fact that AI should not be taken as a competition, but as a means of collaboration. Now, what I will ask, two quick questions. If you are working with just giving a machine a prompt, what makes it impossible, or what is stopping maybe an accountant who has seen a beautiful building somewhere to come and put a prompt and generate a building and assumes him or herself is now a designer or an architect? Okay,
thank you for that wonderful question. So the thing is that what sets you apart from an accountant, it's your training. There are terms, there are ideas that an architect or an engineer has been trained about. An accountant or a layman will not put that into the system. I don't know if you get me. He won't put that into the system. It is your training. You know the right words to put. You know the right things to put, the right terms to put into the systems that generates what ideas you want. And those ideas are not what determines. You still need to go back to your building information modeling software and begin to work on those ideas. Those ideas that AI gives you, they are just concepts that you have to still work on to make sure it is perfect. So AI and BIM and reality capture and everything all work all in all. So I believe I should have been able to answer you, Mr. Patrick.
Okay, yeah, I think we'll come back to that later in the Q&A. Just one more before the other speaker joins up. You have said that in your presentation, there is an area where Nigeria adopted smart city development, something of the sort. Was it by the government?
Yes, it's government and
So,
private
so
sector.
okay. How does the government implement the technology, yet there is no standstill regulation?
Okay. The thing is that they have not really passed a bill on the use of the AI. A bill has not been passed, but the government supports it because a bill is still working in progress, because AI has it uses people's ideas, which so there need to be a bill on its use case. That has not been passed, but people here are using it in Nigeria for like smart cities. AI is not just about generating a beautiful image, like smart cities, security systems, those are artificial intelligence. It's not just about beautiful images. Security systems in homes, sensors, use of sensors to make life easier for you. You entering your kitchen and you pressing a single button, or you saying a word and something comes on, your gas starts working, or you saying a word, your light comes on. Those are artificial intelligence. It doesn't have to be putting a prompt online. So it's vast. It's beyond online. It's vast. So that is my take on that, Patrick.
Okay, thank you for that excellent submission. So I think I'll pass the floor next to our last panelist, Mr. Samuel Gathukia, to take us through digital twins.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope everyone can see me. Perhaps the last presenter can pretty much stop and sharing the slides.
Architect Dare, you can, yeah, perfect.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you very much, Patrick, for organizing this. I know I've been really trying to get this going, and it's good that we are looking at pretty much all fronts from Africa. So we've got North Africa, we've got South Africa, we've got West, and now we've got East Africa. So thank you very much. My name is Samuel Gathukia. I'm the head of projects at HFDI, which is a subsidiary of HF Group. HF has been known to be one of the largest mortgage lenders and has been there for quite a while, so almost a century, if not slightly more. And what I can be able to say is that we are really excited about the future. So it was really successful in the past, using the best technology that it had then. So what we're trying to do is essentially come in and champion this digital transformation, particularly on the AEC side of things, which is essentially now ushering the future of construction. So thank you. I'll be talking about digital twins, which is essentially just part of this digital construction discussion. I'm going to share my screen and take you through really quickly. Just give me a sec. Yeah, can you see my screen, Patrick?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay, thank you. All right. Yeah, so I'll start with the discussion. It's always a tricky discussion here about what constitutes a digital twin and what is not. On the side, I don't know whether most people are familiar with this, but I did this as part of my dissertation. So essentially, I was trying to create a visual aid or what was being used before. What you're seeing there is a model by by Antoni Gaudi of Sagrada Familia, which is essentially a church. And he used to do this intricate models physically to ideally demonstrate how the physical or actual building is going to be. So he used to do he used to have them as visual aids to really help in the construction of the actual built asset. And anything that was being changed in the physical, in the actual built model had to be changed in the visual aid. So you'd have two models at any one time and essentially just check the main one using that small visual aid. And essentially this is what evolved to now images and now what we're calling digital twins. So what you're seeing there, just at the top, is a very high level I'd say pictorial representation of what a digital twin or a digital asset is. So we have a physical asset, and then we have a digital version of that physical asset. And what you're seeing as the marker there that looks like a Wi-Fi is connectivity between the digital twin and the physical asset. Which allows the two to merge, quote unquote, digitally or to exchange information that essentially is insights and allows for decisions and interventions. And photographs are actually the first set of digital twins that we used to come across. But essentially, with the evolution of now technology, we are having now better representation of the physical assets, and this is what was being mentioned about the 360-degree images, the BIM models, and the 3D scans that I'm going to essentially just talk about really quickly. So a digital twin for the AEC is essentially just a replica of the physical asset, whether it's a building, a campus, a city, a railway, essentially even the built environment. We normally go to the extent of having digital twin cities, but that's a conversation for another day. But it allows for the design, construction, and operational processes to be optimized. This digital twins ideally live, grow, and provide new insights. And by providing new insights, we're talking about the data that they generate or the data that they are in themselves, bringing better return on investment when it comes to energy savings, maintenance, and performance. To create these digital twins, essentially we use digital twin tools. That's what I've decided to call them today. And I normally look at a couple of things. Number one is the process, the status of where you have the project. So you can have the project at the design stage, where now we are switching from 2D design to 3D design. And I know this has been mentioned before. This is building information model, where essentially you're modeling in 3D and building information modeling. What I keep on insisting is that it's a coordinated attempt. It's not a 3D architectural representation of something. It's not a render. It's the coordination of all services, all data that is required to essentially ensure that a built asset functions. So all that is modeled in 3D in terms of the fitness for purpose. Now that's the design aspect. And then when it comes now to building, what we are saying is that the fitness for purpose or the end use of that particular asset is what we ensure, because it's normally a process that is, what's the word? That it's monitored frequently to ensure that everything is captured. And here we are talking about the BIM model being the design intent, and then the frequent as-built captures being the monitoring of the asset when it's being built to ensure that it actually meets the design intent requirements. So what you can see there is a 360-degree image, 360-degree camera. I think this was spoken about by my fellow panelists. You can see a Matterport scanner there. You can see an infrared scanner as well, and also a drone 360-degree image camera. So I'm going to talk really quickly about a couple of things, and I believe this was mentioned by Jaco from South Africa. So we tend to use a combination of these tools and platforms, just looking at their strengths and where we can deploy them. A good example is when we're looking at the evolving quote-unquote as-built digital twin. So I tend to look at this as the digital twin at any point during the evolution of the built asset. So the way it works, I think it was explained earlier with a 360-degree camera on top of a hard hat. And someone walks around and you get to see what is going on site. And you're able to actually essentially monitor more comprehensively the evolution of the project. Again, I was trying to put an example here. I don't have time to do the demo, but when you look at a static image and you look at a walkthrough, these are universes apart in terms of what you can do with the current technology that we have. The same thing applies now to where we're going in terms of the reality capture and the BIM. So I know we had a talk about reality capture, we had a talk about BIM. So at this day and age, we're looking at combining the reality capture and the BIM model to merge as the progress of construction is ongoing. So this is essentially a digital, I call them the digital design twin, because we are merging the design and what is going on site. So with OpenSpace, you're able to do a BIM compare, and then you're able to even go further and get the BIM elements fitted in onto the actual site conditions. And this allows for a quick simulation of whether things can fit, where things are meant to be, what has been missed, what is clashing, and it becomes a much faster way of coordinating items. And essentially here we are looking at a BIM, at a digital twin, which is us freezing a particular moment. For example, what you can see there, it's a moment that was captured, or a digital twin that was captured on April 22nd, 2023 at 9:47. Those were the site conditions, and that was the design on that other side. And you're able to move models from the actual BIM model to the conditions on site, which I found quite amazing. So when it comes down to digital twins, just a very quick understanding of them is that we are looking at them being deployed in the design stage, essentially to save on time and capturing site conditions, as I mentioned there. We're looking at the build, which is streamlining the working flow. Essentially, you get more eyeballs on a project, and you get people concentrated on issues to be able to sort them out really quickly. Promote, this is where we are talking about real estate and selling. You're also looking at selling spaces when it comes to hotels, occupancy rates, etc. We're looking at operation phases, where now you embed IoT data into, or IoT devices to collect data into the digital twin. So it becomes more visual and allows you to understand your space a whole lot more. Insurance, it's a space that I'm really, really pushing to see whether this sort of software can be taken up. It has a lot of potential. But what it does is that it documents assets for insurance purposes. It's a way more comprehensive way of documenting assets or allowing for claims, assessment much faster. When we come to repair, and this is something that is starting to come up, we're looking at not just repair, but also retrofitting. We have a lot of old stock and a lot of change of use. A good example is the Hilton Hotel in the middle of Nairobi, where they're thinking about changing the use of it. So the sort of approach to that is just the right fit for a digital twin. As mentioned, these are the industries or the verticals that we are looking at. We're looking at real estate in terms of deployment. We're looking, of course, at the AEC. Travel and hospitality, that's big. Insurance and restoration, and of course facilities management, which is to streamline the service and maintenance operations. And this is where now we embed the IoT data. So we get a lot of data generated from the digital twins. Quick case studies, and these are local case studies. So this one is the building of a block in Karen, Nairobi. Essentially, what we did with this one, and we captured it over a period of about a year, so just slightly over 12 months. We ended up having a lot of historical information captured and digitized. But at that particular time, each and every single week, what we were having is a digital twin of the exact conditions that were on site. And this allowed us to do, among other things, remote construction monitoring. It was an amazing dispute avoidance tool because everybody now could actually go into the digital twin and look at the conditions of the site. Dispute resolution, as I mentioned, it accelerated the verification of work done. Here we were looking at the QS being able to just go back in time and look at exactly what was done, compare what was done 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, simply because they had the actual data, and even go to site and go back to the office and do another ideally remote inspection, just to ensure that he has verified the work done correctly. So we ended up with a complete as-built visual documentation of the project. And this now is allowing for the reduced operations and maintenance costs, because essentially what we did is that we captured all the layers, all the services, everything that went onto the wall that was covered up. We captured that when we were doing our daily, let me say, digital twin captures, for lack of a better term. Some of the challenges that were encountered, and this is just me preempting questions from Patrick. High cost of training, as was mentioned earlier. BIM coordination. When we talk about BIM, as I mentioned earlier, BIM should be essentially a federated model. So you have the structural, you have the architectural, you have the MEP, you have everything coming in together. So that forms the BIM. It's not just the 3D, but the BIM is that federated model. Conservative ideologies, this is the slow adoption, and of course the high cost of tech tools. But the beauty about tech is that it keeps on evolving. I keep using the mobile devices as an example, where when they came in, they were too high, and right now they're very cheap. It just depends on your pocket range, and you're able now to just get the device and get to use it. So the cost will come down, but this is the tech of today. Similar to how there were physical aids before the photos, and then now you have the photos that came in. Now we have 3D scanning devices, 360 images. What I usually say is that you just dive in and then just use the technology of the day to your benefit. This is an example. So what you're seeing on the left there is the capture on site, and then you're seeing the 3D BIM model. So we used to do a side-by-side comparison, which allowed you to be able to see the building in any angle or from any angle, which allows for easy understanding of the model. Then we went on and did a complete scan of the entire building. So this one we used Matterport. And essentially what we ended up having is the fast scan or the fast conditional scan of the asset. Let me call it the asset. Then what you're seeing there as tags essentially was us now adding more data into the digital twin. And this data was essentially the spec of whatever was used to build the tiles, what do you call them? Furniture, the fixtures, fittings. And this is information that you can actually now extract really quickly. You can also embed other IoT data just to check on the occupancy of the spaces, everything. You are able to do that here. The current legislation in terms of the building code, or the one that's going to be now in force from March next year, we're going to have a compulsory 5-year scan or 5-year check on the conditional status of buildings going forward. I know there has been a couple of issues with buildings collapsing after 10 or so years. And I see a lot of potential in this kind of technology in that use case. Whatever has been built and the use case, say for 5 years, changes over time. And one of the quickest way to do the assessment is by having a digital twin. So a digital twin, as mentioned, for insurance purposes, for maintenance, for operations, and now it's going to be statutory. It's going to be a statutory obligation for people to be able to do that after every 5 years to avoid catastrophes that were there. Another use case that we ended up trying out was affordable housing. And this is Unity Homes, Tatu City in Viru. And the challenges that we were looking at there is low cost of land, low cost of design. Everything's just low cost to ensure that it met the affordable housing standard. But this didn't mean that the quality was meant to be low. The quality was meant to be high. So some of the use cases for technologies that it allows for the monitoring, close monitoring. And we are looking at remote, not just this one, but remote affordable housing, schemes. And you're able now to use technology, like digital twins, to actually reach to those satellite or remote towns, but allow, as was mentioned by my Nigerian counterpart, the actual technical people to be giving their advice, and they're able to do that now remotely. It doesn't mean that you still have the local guys or the low-skilled guys running projects. You can have the best eyes on the job, but far from the job. Merits, reducing the cost of supervision, as I mentioned, increasing the quality of supervision, and also allowing for sustainable design. And this is designing from afar. This is an example. Again, we didn't have enough time to do a demo, but essentially we've been following the construction of this project by way of capturing using OpenSpace or digital twin after every single week for the last 3.5 years. And it's still ongoing, and it's proving to be essentially a good return on investment. So just to finalize, again, notable projects. I know the NetBank one was mentioned earlier. We've got offices, we've got co-working spaces, we've got luxury lodges in East Africa, in the UNESCO Conservancy areas. And we are doing a lot of 3D scans for conditional assessments. And this is what I mentioned about old building asset stock. We've got so many buildings now that are coming of age in terms of that 50-year, design life. There's a lot of old stock that needs to be repurposed. But the best way to approach it is to have a digital twin scan of it. So it allows for you to build more, to build cheaper, better, faster, smarter, safer. And my favorite is that you're able now to build from anywhere. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sam. I think I've also added more context to the matter. In the aspect that it was not clear what the thing is about, because sometimes it looks like BIM, sometimes it looks like reality capture. So
Yes.
just one question now before we open the Q&A. What is the institutional readiness for it? If you check both the public and the private sector, what is the readiness for the uptake? Is it people are waiting to see results, or just people are afraid of change? What is happening?
Yeah, from a private angle, or the companies that I've dealt with, they were pretty much ready a long time ago, especially the ones who work with multinationals. But the adoption ideally was not from the contractor side. It was from the client and consultant side, but not the contractor side. So we've started seeing a lot of contractors now getting into the space, which allows them to not just, for claims purposes, but to also start understanding the need for the synergies between the consultants and what they're doing on the ground. So it's starting to push that leverage up. So you'll see big contractors or tier one contractors actually getting into the action. And this we've seen more so in Kenya, because I've been going around in East Africa. So Kenya takes the lead. We're looking at Rwanda coming in. We're also looking at Tanzania doing a bit of stuff, but that's on the private sector side. From the government side, it's essentially a policy-driven kind of an approach. I know the National Construction Authority is doing something quite major, and I believe they're going to be announcing that very, very soon. So it's a driver ideally to ensure that people build safer. So if safety becomes the biggest driver under policy. So other institutions like the AAK, IEK, EBK are going to follow suit really quickly, because essentially what we're saying, the consultant side were pretty much okay, but what was happening is essentially on the contractor side and the developer side, who have started taking notes, particularly on the cost effectiveness of deploying such solutions.
Okay, interesting. So, dear listeners, that has been the session from the panelists. It has been more of a one-sided talk. So I'd like to open the conversation, that you may be free to ask a question, whether typing in the chat tab, or if need be, you open your video or mic and get to answer the question. Now, for order, please put up your hand so that I can call you and you proceed with the question if you like to do it via video or just via the mic. And for starters, I see Ahmad Sabri, your hand has been up for a while. Can mention the question and who you are directing it to.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I have 4 questions. Do I ask all of them or one by one?
You can ask and be specific on who you are addressing.
It's okay. So my name is Ahmad Sabri. I am a civil engineering student from Kenyatta University in Nairobi, Kenya. I am very passionate about structural engineering, building information modeling, programming, particularly Python and artificial intelligence. So I got curious about 4 things. One, I wanted to ask that now this one is I am directing the first question to all panelists. For students in the AEC industry who are interested in programming and have no or little idea on how to implement it in the industry, because most of the time the resources we get are usually general, more on software development, but now how to apply it in the industry becomes a challenge. So how will you guys advise such a student who is, say, very passionate about programming, but is wondering on how he can directly apply it in the industry? So the other questions are about artificial intelligence. So I think mainly they will be addressed to Mr. Dare, but I would like to hear from anyone who has a thought about them. One is Mr. Dare mentioned that we should learn artificial intelligence, but I wanted to ask if you could give us a roadmap with the focus on finally getting to apply it in our practice. So what steps should we take is the goal learning how to use AI that has already been trained, or is it to learn how to create the models and train them ourselves? Or what exactly do you do? Are you on a user level or a developer level? And will you advise us to learn artificial intelligence with the goal of being a user or a developer? And fourth question, what problems do you face when you use artificial intelligence? Do you face issues like hallucinations, maybe misinformation from the artificial intelligence models or anything else? I was really curious about that. Thank you.
Okay. I think we can start with Mr. Muhammad. I think there was a general question.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so the first part is about the learning itself, right?
Yeah. About as students, how they will be able to start over.
Okay, so there is 2 parts. Part is upon the student himself, and the other part is according to the university or the institution itself. So first part is now open source for information, and is widespread rather than and it is different from 10 years or 5 years ago. Information was very poor, and you have to do a lot of research to find a certain information. But now it is open and you can find it everywhere. As for the institution, as part of our BIM Africa, we have an initiative for research and development. It is part that we do like association with and collaboration with university and private institution to provide training for students and for engineers and architects with a low cost price. We have the partnership with private and public universities to provide this, beside allowing to make a special course for not just BIM but digital technology in construction in some institutions. We have collaboration with some universities in Tunisia and Morocco and Nigeria as well. We have a collaboration in Ethiopia and Egypt. Besides, we have different collaboration with institutions like in Barcelona and in Real Madrid, and in Europe as well, in United Kingdom, and we have with some organizations. BIM A Plus, it is the European Master of BIM. We have collaboration with them as well. So it is 2 parts of the institution itself. They had to change the subjects that are being taught, and some on the student himself.
Okay, and I also understand BIM Africa usually has, I think, learning assistant positions for students, and they have programs for the same, right? Especially for BIM.
Yes. For students, we have the BIM Africa advocacy program for students, the SEP program. It has been developed, but it's due to the corona, we stopped it in 2020. Provide training for students in universities on digital technologies, softwares, and other technologies. But we are developing right now to make it because it was selected for a certain student in certain countries. We are now the research and development part for BIM Africa is doing to do it like a wise, like academy for students with providing training and information. But hopefully to finish this soon. And we will publish this on our social media once it is finalized.
Okay. I hope that is clear, Sabri. You can do a research about the organization. And I'm sure you'll also mention later how to do that in the closing remarks. Architect Dare, over to you. I think there was a question on AI. Architect Dare?
Sorry, I'm here. I'm with you.
Yes,
so I would like
I
to
think.
first answer the question from Sabri. He has the question about how will he apply programming as a person or as a student that has a passion for programming in practice. So like recently there was a colleague, will I say a colleague because I'm not related to the person. I don't know how she was interested in making a software, like a software, a meeting point between architects and clients. She's a programmer. So the software, we have various softwares like that in the US, a meeting point for architects whereby the client comes. We have some software like that. A client comes and tell you, this is what I want to do. This is the vision I have. Then the software is just like a meeting point. That is an idea of what you can do with programming. You can also decide if you have an idea, a problem that you are seeing in the haze industry that you want to solve. You can decide to develop a program that will solve that problem. So that is the way in which you can use your knowledge or your passion to, in terms of programming in the haze industry. Also, he asked if I'm on a user level or on a developer level in relation to artificial intelligence. Presently, I'm on a user level, but I have collaborations with some software firms like Market AI, Musave. I'm on a user level. I use Bing AI, I use Midjourney, and some other AI platform. Market AI also, I use that. He was also asking, how do we use AI in practice? In practice, as a professional, AI is beyond, as I said earlier, is beyond generating pretty images online. It's far beyond that. It's far, anything that deals with not being manual, automating of tasks. Like you wanting to enter a shopping mall. You don't have to open the door. Immediately you are going in, there's the door that opens. Nobody has to open the door for you. The door opens. That is what we call artificial intelligence. You entering your home, the light doesn't have to come on. That is what we call artificial intelligence. You working on your softwares, you want to see a reality view of how a rendered view that doesn't take hours to achieve using your normal software with your plugin to your artificial intelligence or generative AI softwares, you just have to press 1 or 2 prompts. It gives you what you want. So how do you learn AI? There are a lot of platforms online that you can learn from, a lot of platforms online. If you go to Coursera and you type AI courses, machine learning, AI, you will see a lot of courses on Coursera. And I also do personal trainings for people that are also interested. On Coursera, our firm also does that. On Coursera, a lot of platforms, even if you go to LinkedIn now, LinkedIn Learning, you have access to a lot of courses also. So there are online courses which you can learn about the application of AI. The challenges, you are talking about the challenges, there are a lot of challenges, definitely. Sometimes when you input a prompt or where you are trying to do something with the AI platforms, there are a little bit of hallucinations. But what I noticed is that it only happens on paid plans. On paid plans. When you pay for plans, or when you pay for plans pay for the plans, paid plans, you don't have issues with hallucinations or static screens. There's nothing like that on the paid plans. Thank you, Mr. Patrick. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Ahmad, I hope I've been able to answer your question. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I think Ahmad, you're home and dry, right?
Yes, thanks a lot.
I don't know whether we were all learners here today because I don't see many questions. Just one from the live stream on YouTube for Dare. Someone is asking, great design focuses on even the small things. Is the AI able to capture this? You can have your video on.
Okay. Sorry, the question again. Okay, you're asking if artificial system fails, is there a backup for it? There have not been recent failures, but most of the time when you are working on platforms, like if you are using the systems online, when you do something online, most of the time you see your recent chats. Most of the recent chats are usually at the side of your screen. So things that you inquired about like months ago, you still have access to them, even if the system fails. You have a backup on the screen. That's why what we mean by cloud computing system. Though there still need to be a work on that, but the cloud storage is enough for most of the people that are using AI for now. So there's a backup. You have access to information you input. Most of the time, you still see them there, especially for the paid plans. Let me try to remind us that's to also be paid. Thank you.
Okay. Sam, there's a question there for you. Have you found ways of converting as-built scans from 360 cameras or laser scans to BIM components? Are there tools for this, or is this a manual process? I'm sure you can see it from Brian Babu.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very, very much for that question there. So, yeah, what I was mentioning about conditional assessment is exactly that. So, when you do the 3D scans, essentially, you're using the LiDAR, the light detection and ranging. So you create point clouds, which essentially are as-built or digital assets that now you can convert. So you convert them to either CAD drawings or you convert them to BIM models. So basic BIM models for now, but it's starting to change. And this is all done using AI. So what happens is that instead of going to site with your tape measure, you just go there with a 3D scanner. 3D scanners, depending on your level of accuracy that you want, or the level of accuracy that you want, can even have a handheld scanner. And you just go to site and you scan a particular space, and then you convert that into a 2D. So part of the new emerging, let me just say, scopes is essentially getting a 3D scan converted into a 2D, and then you work off of that. as was mentioned about AI, the analogy about the door, you walking and then the door opening. So we are moving away from, essentially what we are doing is that we are moving away from the manual tedious exercise of measuring elements. And some elements, depending on the sort of geometry that they have, is quite difficult. So you come in with your scanner, you scan the space, then you convert that into a 2D model or a 3D BIM model. So that, yes, so that is done, it's done automatically. Normally, depending on the size of the property, I'd say between 200 and 300 square meters, you can get a conversion of about 24 hours. But anything larger than that might take maybe a day for the AI to actually convert that space. But it's done automatically nowadays.
Oh, great. I think also on the same note, Mr. Jaco, there is a question there on reality capture. How can AI and machine learning be incorporated into reality capture workflows for the as-built surveys in the future? Mr. Jaco, you saw the question? Okay, I happen not to see him in the panel list.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So the question around reality capture AI in terms of the workflow. So what we see with these reality capture solutions is one aspect of it is to provide us with, let's say, the remote access to the job sites. So we can be anywhere. Sorry, we can be anywhere and we can actually have a virtual access to that job site. Okay. Where AI in reality capture has evolved to is effectively the photogrammetry, or that sort of virtual tour that we have captured, can be analyzed through the sort of platform's vision engine with AI being applied to it. And what we can get now is automated progress tracking. So what currently a QS person would go to a job site, measure what the progress is, I would be able to put that 360 camera on my head, walk through the floor of the hotel that is being built, upload the capture to the AI engine, and the insights that I can then get is the platform will tell me what the progress is, because the photogrammetry can be interpreted and the photos can then be translated into progress. I can get a report to say, on this day, the vision engine saw that progress of drywalling was at 80%. According to the program, it should have now been at 90%. So that's one aspect where that's sort of moving towards, and it's not futuristic, it's there today. It is possible. It's one of the features of OpenSpace called OpenSpace Track.
All right, perfect. Sam, one last question in a quick response. Can the scan be used in a drone to scan? That is from Sizwe Kumalo.
I don't know how to answer that, but the answer is, of course, yes. So it depends on the type of scanner that you have. As I mentioned, there are handheld scanners nowadays. There's a product that is available now, which is a drone, a drone that has an integrated scanner that you fly around, particularly on large sizes of assets. But the answer to that is that it really depends on the use case, on the size of the asset that you're scanning. If it's a big asset, then definitely a drone will be required, and you're able to scan that. But you're also able to scan very comfortable using a tripod-mounted scanner, which normally has a range of, even the ones that we use have a range of about 50 meters. So you can imagine scanning something as big as a stadium, which is possible, or a multi-level building, even the facade, all the way to 50 meters. So that is possible. But it all depends, ideally. It all depends on what you're scanning and the scale of which you're scanning, so you can actually get a product that can do that.
All right, perfect. I think that brings us to the end of this discussion. For sure, we would like to have more going forward, as technology is never ending. It keeps on evolving day in, day out. So at this juncture, I'd like to leave the room for the panelists to share their closing remarks about what they think on the way forward, and how perhaps we can be able to locate them. We can do it in the order of presentations, from Muhammad to Sam.
Okay. So as a closure, we know that in technology you have to be aware of everyday evolution of the technology itself. You have to catch what is new and what trending is new. Like right now, people are in debate of using software for digital twin or making their own digital twin. And from my perspective, is you have to make your own digital twin program. You have to develop it. You can use, like others said previously, you can use drones and reality capture for maybe drone for skin capture, to be specific. You can use AI to generate a model from geometry, or model from photos as well. Like we have a project that we use a satellite image, and according to the time that it was taken and the shadows, we tried to, through AI, calculated the skin of the buildings for a cities in less than 10 minutes. So it depends on your needs. So you have to keep up with development. You have to build yourself. This is for your side, and for the country side that we are aiming to develop with the technology. We are in Africa. We have the capabilities of people, and we need to move forward with standardization and make a country forced to use digital transformation as well, and digital technology, and be provided for all countries. Hopefully, here in Egypt, we are fascinated about drones, but you know that there are certain countries that have restrictions in drones and some of the digital technology net. So we hope forward that all these problems will be solved and move forward to a secure and digital transformation in whole Africa.
How may we be able to reach you? Are you online? Do you have an email?
Yes. I would share my LinkedIn and my email in the chat right now for anyone to. If you have any question, just ask me, and I will share my LinkedIn and my email right now. Okay.
Right, perfect. Pleasure having you as well, Mr. Dare. In brief. Sorry, Mr. Jacko, in brief.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think just in closing, what is important, knowledge is power. So I think the more we learn, the more we become aware of these things, the better we'll be able to adopt them. So I think we shouldn't wait for Contact to come to Africa. We should bring Contact to Africa, and maybe more important, a lot of these technologies effectively are things we import, and we should pose the question of, well, where is the digital technologies being born in Africa, solving Africa problems? And there was a question from one of the guys in Nairobi at the university, somebody that's keen to program, develop these things, so I think in Africa we can do really smart things, and we can then come up with solutions locally to African problems where we don't have the issue of exchange rates being very expensive to import these things. I'm not saying we should reinvent the wheel with everything, but it would be great if we can have solutions for Africa built in Africa. That I think that would be excellent.
All right, perfect. Thank you for the remarks. Architect Dare, in brief.
Thank you. So what we need to really do is that as everyone needs to embrace digital construction in Africa by implementing all these tools from AI, digital twins to reality capture to BIM. All these, they work hand in hand to create an efficient building. So if professionals can embrace these tools, it will lead to a more sustainable future for Africa, and we tend to say well about ourselves to the world, so that our AEC in this will continue to grow. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Finally, Mr. Sam, in brief.
Yeah, I'll echo my fellow panelists. I keep having this, this dream of thrusting Africa into the digital age. I think we are spot on where we are meant to be right now with how things are running. So we are essentially one big greenfield, and we have all the tools that we need to catch up with the rest of the world. And the approach will be to be very open-minded, to be really, digitally driven, to take up these tools, to use the tools, and to actually move everything forward. So I'm really excited about the future. And it's good to know that we are looking at it from all fronts, as Jaco had put it. The dream would be to ideally run a project from all corners of Africa, so we can actually just put our minds together and actually deliver projects from wherever they are in Africa, from wherever. And that's my dream. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Sam. Thank you for panelists. Thank you for the audience. I see a good feedback here. I was trying to pull up, what is it called? Random survey platform. So I wanted to welcome my team members who are here. There is one who was around. I don't know if she has settled. Ms. Valin, are you in? Valin, you're in? Okay, so speaking again as Patrick from the Association of Construction Managers of Kenya. I'm also a construction manager in the space. I haven't ventured much in tech. Sam pushes that conversation. severally, but I look to intern with him on that matter very soon. As you've seen, it's a very critical discussion, and as Jaco has said, we don't have to look to borrow, but we look to have them here and keep up with the pace that is also going on worldwide. So on behalf of the association, I'd like to thank the panelists, the participants. We were live on YouTube, actually, so the live stream is there, but we'll also upload a good recording since it was also recorded. And for those who would like copies of the presentation, please do them via info@acmk.co.ke. Just write to us requesting a copy of the same. info for email, scmk.co.ke. So thank you again. See you next time. The session is over.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.